In this short video, I'll show you how to make a to-doing list. Here's an example of my to-doing list from today. What you see on the left-hand side are my tasks. What you see at the top of the left-hand side is the, top level task that I was trying to do, which is clean up and finalize the procedure. On the right side of the screen, you'll see my notes. In the middle, you'll see the time it took to complete each task. All the text in blue, that's just stuff I added later on. That was in order to kind of clarify how I made this to-doing list. But I figured it wasn't really sufficient. I probably should make a video. So here I am, going to make a quick little screencast explaining everything. Now, let's quickly make a to-doing list. Okay, at the very top, what you'll do is write down the task you want to complete. It's the big, hairy, complicated one. Let's pick one that's how to build a bottle rocket. How about that? Now, after we identify what it is we want to do, we typically want to find out what the next action is. So in this case, we'll do a step 1, step 2, step 3, and so on until we finish all of the subtasks we can in order to complete the top parent task. For our bottle rocket example, our first task is going to be to Google it. As you can see, I put down 11:16 as the starting time, and the finish time is empty because we're not done yet. Once we finish, we'll put a finish time in and cross out the item number 1, which is Google it. From there, we'll add an item number 2. Our item number 2 will be to roll a piece of paper into a cone. Of course, I got this off of a WikiHow that came from a Google search. Let's say that task started at 11:21, as you see here, 11:21. And we're doing the roll paper in the cone task, and then we realize, oh wait, we can't really complete this task because we don't have any paper. So we add a subtask called item 2.1, which is to find paper. So here we go, finding our paper. Then we get interrupted. Facebook or Google Plus or Twitter, one of our social networks, demands our attention. So we go ahead and let ourselves be interrupted. And let's say we start that task, the interruption that is, at 11:25. At this point, we're still within item number 2, which is to roll paper into cone. We jumped into the subtask, which was to find paper, and we got distracted by doing some social networking. Let's say we started at 11:25. Once we're done, we'll fill this in and say we're done at 11:30. Then we'll resume the subtask 2.1, which was to find paper. And once we're done with that, we'll resume the parent task, which was to roll paper into cone. You can see that sort of action in my initial example. Let's see here. Item number 2, I said decide what I should be cleaning up in the procedure. That started at 1:30, and I identified that I should do a subtask. I think I numbered it wrong. It should have been 2.1. At any rate, it says 2.2. Check email to see if any ideas were sent back and forth. And I started that task at 1:35. Finished it at 1:39. Once I was done with that, I was pretty much done with item number 2. So then I put 1:40 up there for item number 2. Moving back to our example, our short example. We complete our social networking task at 11:30. resume finding paper, complete that at 11:35, and now we're rolling the paper into a cone. We can cross these other items out since we're done with them now. And we're rolling our paper into a cone now. We complete that roll paper into a cone at 11:40. Now we're going to move on to task number 3, which is just the next thing we can think of. Task number 3 in this case would be to wrap the cone with duct tape. So we'll start that task just as we did the others and put the time started on the right hand side, and if we have any interruptions we'll write in the interruption with a caret. Otherwise we'll just write in the finish time when we're done. For the purpose of this example, let's keep it short and just say we've done our wrap cone with tape in 5 minutes time. Start at 11:45, finish at 11:50. Let's say we're done doing this how to build a bottle rocket task for today. Even though we didn't actually build a bottle rocket, we started it, made a big dent in it. So, in fact, we were actually trying to build a bottle rocket, not just trying to figure out how to do it. So once we're done, what we want to do is fill in this area with the total time spent. And to do that, we need to figure out how much each item costs us in time. Once we get to the interruption, we would subtract that time from the total. We'll start with Googling it. That took us, it looks like, 4 minutes. Then we have where we rolled paper into a cone. Looks like that took us 19 minutes. But for the roll paper into a cone task, we were interrupted during that task by social networking for 5 minutes, it looks like. We're gonna make that a negative number so we can subtract it, remember to subtract it from the total. Then we wrap the cone with tape. That looks like it took 5 minutes. After all is said and done, we'll put our total time here, 23 minutes. So we spent 23 minutes building a bottle rocket. What this looks like in my initial example from my work today was 51 minutes here, it's circled. That's how much time I spent cleaning up and finalizing the procedure. Now, looking at this time, that kind of makes me feel kind of good. I think, I could, maybe hang this up on my wall and show people how productive I am. I don't know what you would really do with this. You could log it. You could journal about it. I don't know. In any event, what it does help you gain is perspective. It gives you a perspective of what really happened from point A to point B in efforts to complete your task. It also helps you stay engaged in the task as well. And the way it helps you stay engaged is all this writing. All this writing is being done task by task. So, in order to write, you have to engage in it, right? Another thing it helps you do is helps you stay focused. I could easily get lost in task number 1, which says locate the procedure I need to clean up. I could start looking around on windows and then get distracted and forget all about this whole sheet. But then when I try to remind myself what I was doing there in the first place, this sheet will provide a reference because I already wrote down what I was doing. So I'll just glance at the sheet and see that, oh, what was I here for? I was trying to locate a procedure. Another thing this whole thing helps you do is helps you do creative, complicated work. To me, clean up and finalize a procedure, that is not a straightforward task. I did not know what to do when I started that. This is basically on-the-spot brainstorming. All these subtasks. If I would have known what to do, I could have populated all these subtasks in my typical task manager. There would be no need to write this as I go one by one. But in this case, I didn't know what I had to do beforehand. The time slots over here, those are cool to see. It's cool to see it, how much time I actually spent, checking Google Plus here. What I spent 6 minutes checking Google Plus, checking my voicemail 2 minutes. It's cool to see those times because I kind of lose track of time when I get distracted normally. I would just start checking G Plus, and then 2 hours later, I realize, hey, I kind of got distracted there. And that's where this little sheet of paper kind of helps me out. You can do this digitally if you want. You can imagine using a Excel file to do it, or even just a regular plain old notepad. There's a million jillion ways to do this, I'm sure. Let's see, what else didn't I cover? Well, I think that's everything. That kind of gives you a brief introduction on how to do a to-doing list. I called it to-doing lists because these are things that you're actually doing. You're logging the times as you're doing them. Kind of like toggle.com or any of those time tracking apps. Except in this case, it serves multiple purposes, and it isn't just helping you track the time of each task. I think that's the end of that explanation. Well, good luck in your adventures with your own to-doing lists.